All right, let's talk about something interesting. We're going to dive into 10 items that are incredibly useful, but are also quietly disappearing from store shelves. And I'm not talking about the latest gadgets here. This is about real, practical tools, almost a kind of lost knowledge that's just hiding right under our noses.
But before we get into the full list, I've got a little puzzle for you. What single item, and get this, it costs less than 10 bucks, can purify water, start a fire on contact, disinfect a wound, kill fungal infections, and signal for rescue? This isn't some new invention either. The military has been putting this in their survival kits for more than 50 years. See if you can figure it out by the time we get to the end.
I mean, just think about how efficient that is. You've got water purification, first aid, fire starting, the whole shebang, all packed into one simple substance. That level of versatility, it's almost unheard of.
And here's the kicker. It's getting really hard to find. And part of the reason why? Well, it has to do with the government. So stick with me, and I promise we'll get to the big reveal before this is over.
Okay, so before we solve that big mystery, let's get into some of these other disappearing essentials. We're going to start with two really basic fundamental needs. First, what do you do if you eat something you shouldn't have? And second, how do you get clean water when all you've got is muck?
All right, item number 1, food-grade activated charcoal. In any emergency room, this is the go-to treatment for a lot of different kinds of poisoning. But, and this is super important, you have to get the loose powder. You see those trendy detox capsules all over the place? Totally useless in a real emergency. I mean, can you imagine trying to break open 20 tiny little capsules when every single second counts? No way. You need the powder that you can mix into water fast. And that's the very form that's getting harder and harder to find.
Okay, next on the list is alum. So picture this. Your only water source is just thick, muddy water. Any fancy filter you have is going to clog up in a second. But a tiny little pinch of alum, it does this little chemistry magic trick. It's called flocculation. Basically, it makes all that floating gunk clump together and sink right to the bottom. And what you're left with is clear water on top, all ready for you to filter and purify properly. And yet, for some reason, grocery stores are quietly pulling this stuff off their spice shelves. Weird, right?
Okay, you ready for a clue about our mystery item? The first clue is its color. And it's a really specific color. We're talking a deep, vivid, unmistakable purple. Got it? Okay, hang on to that thought.
All right, let's move on. Our next 3 items are all about protecting you from the elements. We're talking warmth, light, and fire. These things used to be in every household, total staples. But now, well, they're on their way out.
So check these out. First up, Strike Anywhere matches. You know, the cool ones you could light on a rock or a zipper. Well, Diamond was the last big company making them, and they've officially stopped. They're gone. Then you've got military-grade wool blankets. The magic of wool is that it keeps you warm even when it's soaking wet, unlike a lot of modern fabrics. The thing is, most of these are Cold War surplus. That means when they're gone for good. There's no new supply. And finally, K10 kerosene, super stable fuel for heaters and lamps, but gas stations are literally ripping the pumps out of the ground, making this fuel an endangered species.
Okay, our next section is all about what I like to call household heroes. We're talking about things for keeping your food safe, getting rid of pests, and having a reliable source of light. And yep, you guessed it, they're all getting surprisingly hard to find.
Okay, this one's cool. It's called diatomaceous earth, and it's basically an invisible bodyguard for your food storage, like grains and beans. The food-grade kind is made from fossilized algae, and it literally shreds the skeletons of bugs so they just dry out and die. But, and listen up because this is really important, do not mix it up with pool-grade DE. That stuff is a totally different beast. It's loaded with crystalline silica that will cause permanent lung damage if you breathe it in. So you've got to be super careful and always check the label.
Now, if you do any home canning, you need to hear this. That little seal on a genuine canning lid, that is the only thing standing between you and botulism, which is an absolutely deadly toxin. Here's the terrifying part. Something like 40% of the canning lids sold on places like Amazon are total fakes. They have bad seals that fail. And they don't just ruin your food. They literally create a little incubator for a deadly poison. It's a death trap in a jar.
Let's knock out 2 more real quick. First, borax. You know, that classic green box from the laundry aisle? It has something like 50 different uses. Pest control, mold killer, even a fire retardant. But it's already banned in the EU, and it's starting to face some serious regulatory heat here in the US. Then we have pure paraffin lamp oil. This stuff gives you hours and hours of clean, smell-free light that's safe to use indoors. But it's getting pushed off the shelves by that stinky citronella oil, which, by the way, is only meant to be used outside.
Okay, time for the final clue. You ready? The DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration, they actually track large purchases of this stuff. Now, it's perfectly legal for you to own, don't worry, but all that tracking means a ton of extra paperwork for the stores. So a lot of them have just said, forget it, it's not worth the hassle, and they've stopped carrying it completely. So, deep purple color, tracked by the DEA. Have you got it yet?
All right, this is it, the moment of truth. We've been calling this thing the Purple Swiss Army Knife, and you're about to see why. Let's finally pull back the curtain on this amazing, versatile substance.
The mystery item is potassium permanganate. It's a simple chemical, comes in these dark purple crystals, and I'm willing to bet most of you have never even heard of it.
And this is where its real magic is. It's a powerful oxidizing agent. In simple terms, that means it can purify water, it can disinfect wounds, it can treat fungal infections. Heck, you can sprinkle a few crystals on snow and make a giant purple rescue signal. But believe it or not, its most mind-blowing trick is still to come.
And here it is, the showstopper. You can literally create fire from a liquid. You just make a small pile of these purple crystals, add a few drops of glycerin, which you can get at any pharmacy, and a chemical reaction starts. You wait about, 15-20 seconds, and poof, it just erupts into an open flame, hot enough to light a fire in any condition. No match, no spark, no friction, just chemistry. There's a reason they teach this in military survival schools. It's incredible.
So, let's wrap this all up. If you take all 10 of these items, you can put together a super practical and surprisingly affordable kit. This isn't about zombie apocalypse stuff. This is a foundation of real, actual preparedness.
And here's the full list, all 10 of them together. You've got everything from that incredible 5-in-1 powerhouse, potassium permanganate, all the way down to the simple, can't-fail reliability of a wool blanket. See, this list isn't about flashy, expensive tactical gear. It's about practical, old-school knowledge that's been proven to work for generations. And just look at the total cost. For under $400, you can build a kit full of practical, truly life-saving items. I mean, that's a tiny fraction of what some people spend on shiny gadgets that, when it really comes down to it, are way less useful in an actual emergency. And that really brings us to a final thought, doesn't it? All of these items, they represent a kind of practical know-how, a self-sufficiency that our grandparents just took for granted. And as they quietly disappear off the shelves, it really makes you wonder, right? What other essential skills, what other crucial knowledge have we just forgotten in our modern, convenient world? It's definitely something worth thinking about.